Welcome to our few moments together on the Parsha. This Shabbos, we have the privilege of reading Parshas Chukas. Chukas HaTorah, as the first pasuk says, Zos Chukas HaTorah. This is the statute of the Torah. We know that there's a difference between mishpatim, judgments, chukim, and statutes, in the sense that mishpatim and many mitzvahs, reasons are given. They're mitzvahs sichlius, they're mitzvahs which make sense and are understandable. Then there are the chukim. The chukim are those which are not given a reason in the Torah. Hashem, God, who gave us the Torah, did not give us his logic. He provided us with hints, and, of course, the inimitable Rabbi Shamshon of Earl Hirsch so beautifully explains symbolically many of the chukim, all of them in the most brilliant analysis, but nevertheless, they are chukim, and they remain as such, statutes, which we have a responsibility to fulfill. Our Sedra begins by talking about the Parah Aduma, the red heifer, which is required that its ashes mixed with water to be sprinkled on those who are tamei, those who have a spiritual impurity. And the only way that they can get rid of that spiritual impurity is through sprinkling of the waters of the Parah Aduma on the third day and on the seventh day. Why it had to be a red heifer, a Parah Aduma? Why specifically on the third and seventh day? Why it had to be ashes mixed with water? All of these symbolic representations are available in the writings of the aforementioned Rav Shamshon of Earl Hirsch, and I urge you, if you have the opportunity, to plow through the very beautiful explanation that he offers. I'd like to focus on the concept that we're dealing with the chok, the statute of the Parah Aduma, and nevertheless, the Torah says, Zos Chukas HaTorah. This is the statute of the Torah. It's not. It is only the statute of the Parah Aduma. Why is it called Zos Chukas HaTorah? This is the statute of the whole Torah. And Rav Shmuel Alter, in his beautiful Likut, points out the teaching of the Sefer Dvash V'Cholov that says as follows: when it comes to doing intelligible, understandable mitzvos, one could say, of course I'm doing it because I understand it and it makes sense to me. But if that's the case, then they're hardly due to get some schar, some reward. Why should reward accrue to a person who's performing an act that to them is purely understandable? And even if you're going to say they do get some reward, but it certainly is not a great reward for the very simple reason, I'm doing it because it makes sense to me. I like it. I feel good about it. It appeals to my sensitivity, to my emotions, to my thinking. It makes a lot of sense, and so I do it. But when someone observes a law of the Torah, like keeping kosher, when someone observes Taras HaMishpacha, when someone observes the laws of not shaving with a razor or not cutting off the corners of one's head, which are all chukim, and they are not simply intelligible, but rather they are decrees of the king who gave them to us and understands the value of them and wants us to keep them because they have tremendous import and merit, and we keep them not because we understand the chukim, but we keep them because Hashem commanded us to do them. That gives us an indication that not only are we doing the chukim because God commanded them, but it must be that we're even doing the mitzvos sichlios, even those mitzvos which are understandable and intelligent. It must be that we're doing them also because Hashem commanded. And so, by virtue of our keeping the laws of the Chukim, what happens is we are getting schar, reward, not just for the Chukim, but we're also reaping tremendous reward from Hashem for keeping all the mitzvahs of the Torah. And that's why it says, by the chok of the Parah Aduma, Zos Chukas HaTorah. You keep this particular understanding, and you will see that it's not just this that you're keeping, but you're getting reward for keeping even those mitzvahs, not just the Parah Aduma, which is not intelligible, but all those other mitzvahs, which are so understandable, so beautiful. The keeping of Shabbos, which is so intelligible, so clearly there for the benefit of mankind. The keeping of all the mitzvahs that make sense. One should not kill. One should not commit immorality. One should not kidnap. It's clear that these make sense. And the Torah is telling us, by virtue of our keeping the chukim, we're getting reward not just for the chok of the Parah Aduma, but for all the intelligible mitzvahs that we're keeping, not only because they make sense to us, but because Hashem commanded them. That is the powerful, beautiful message of Chukas, HaTorah, the Parah Aduma, that gives us a sense of understanding of the depth of the godliness and brilliance of the Torah. It's impossible for us to fathom the infinite mind of Hashem, but by virtue of the keeping of the Chukim, we not only get reward for that, but also for all the intelligible mitzvahs that we keep. Have a wonderful Shabbos.